All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys hooking up with us. If you're not asking a question like we've done before with the teleconferences, please mute your line to limit the static noise. We'll start with an opening statement from Tom, and then we'll just go down in order of emails I got asking questions. So, Tom, go ahead.
All right, welcome to everyone to this opportunity here to share a little bit. I hope everybody is staying healthy and safe, and that's our number one objective with our players as well and everybody that we're dealing with. So definitely uncharted territory for everyone, and I feel like we're adapting well. Very encouraged by the way our staff has responded, our players have responded to the situation we find ourselves in, to be able to continue to communicate effectively at a high level, have a very productive spring. Modified for sure, changes that we didn't expect to have, but been able to, I think in a lot of ways, maximize technology, maximize the ability to communicate with our guys, and it's put a lot more on them for sure. But at the same time, I think it's a good chance for all of us to grow. But at the core of everything is to make sure our players are healthy, they're safe, they're able to take care of themselves physically, and then the academic piece has been a priority as well to finish strong here as we get near the end of the semester and move into the summer months. So really encouraged by the way our team and staff has responded, and look forward to moving into these next couple months here as the season approaches. So at this time, anybody has any questions, we'd like to go from here.
All right, John Blau, why don't you start us off? John, you got to unmute your line, my man.
You got me now? Am I good?
You're good.
Okay. I got you.
All right. Technology. But obviously, you're supposed to have the spring game last week. Obviously, it helps that you guys have a lot of experience returning, so you know a lot of the pieces you have. But what of that opportunity have given you in terms of evaluating players and their progress, and how much are you able to kind of evaluate from a distance how much guys have developed and where they fit? Or is that something that's going to be a little bit more of a condensed process when you get back in terms of figuring out guys where they are?
Yeah, I think that's, you can go through and everybody, I listen to different coaches comment about where they're at and what they're doing. I've talked to a lot of coaches behind the scenes and within our conference and outside of our conference. And so it's a universal challenge. I mean, I think nobody really knows for sure where your players are at right now. I mean, you have a basis for that based on your communication and what you're doing with them. And we're doing everything we feel like we can do within the rules and within the realm of making it positive for our guys and not making it, too much this or too much of that. But I think that, we had 4 spring practices in. I will say we thoroughly evaluated those 4 practices. I went back and looked at them over and over and over and rewrote notes for different things, all the drills, watched everything several different times to get a good feel for, where we were at that point. The good news is we did get 2 padded practices in. The last one, practice number 4, was full. Practice number 3 was shells, and 1 and 2 were in helmets only. So the last 2 especially got a lot of good evaluation of where we're at, with our guys, and use that as a major point of evaluation with our players as a staff. But these last, several weeks, you really don't know. I think once we all get back together, whenever that may be, then you have to assess where you're at and just move forward from there. So that's the part that's probably will create the most unknowns is, where are your guys at right now from a physical perspective. I think mentally, I feel good about what we're doing with them. I think we probably communicated at a higher level than you maybe would have if you're face to face, which may sound unique, but I think that's what's happening because of the situation. But it's the physical part, of them being able to, not to practice, not to be able to get those reps. You can't replace those. There was 11 practices that we did not get to have that we would have had. So those are going to have to be, made up eventually, but not necessarily replaced. Just going to have to try and find ways to creatively fill in the gaps, So we're doing everything we can do, and our strength staff is doing a great job of trying to, number 1, they're new, and number 2, they're connecting, and then number 3, trying to get guys to stay moving forward and staying productive.
Matt Weaver.
Can you guys hear me?
We got you, Matt.
Coach, my question's about recruiting. my theory's kind of been that with this with the lockdown and the unknown and guys not being able to take visits, that you may see more guys kind of tend to stay closer to home and maybe not venture as far away because they have the familiarity and the comfort level. Is that what you think, or kind of what's your guys' approach to this recruiting with it just being so unusual and so unprecedented?
Yes, I think recruiting has definitely been affected. Obviously, I think that we were fortunate. We had a really, really aggressive plan with the 2021 class and even the 22 class to get guys on campus times before this all happened, not even knowing this was going to happen. But just being proactive, which we knew the 2021 class in the state of Indiana was a very strong class. I will say, even the last couple of days has probably confirmed what you're saying. I see more guys committing closer to home. It doesn't really matter what part of the country you're dealing with. It's been a pretty consistent theme. I think all the unknowns about future visits or lack thereof, even just the idea of being close to home and something like this, were to happen to rear its ugly head again in the future. I think guys just have gone that route. So wouldn't be across the board to say that, but definitely a trend for sure that we're seeing right now. And I think that, there's just a lot of unknowns in a lot of areas, and recruiting is no different. So no one knows how June and July are going to play themselves out in recruiting. We have an idea and we have some projections, but no one knows for sure. So I just think as you talk to parents, you talk to recruits. Now I will say we've had a tremendously effective communication system with recruits that we've been able to establish because of the situation, because of parents working from home, players being home, doing coursework from home and working out at home, and so being able to get them on the phone and build those relationships has been a very, very improved area because of the accessibility that everybody has. So that's been actually something I think has helped us a lot, because we're a relationship driven staff, and we feed off of those relationships, and that's who we are. I mean, that's what's one of our strengths, and so building those relationships on the phone, be able to have them face to face, that's unique, but with technology and FaceTime and Zoom and different things that you can use within the rules has allowed us to build those relationships. So I just think that a lot of guys are going to choose to wait if they can't take visits in the summer months, to wait till after or during the season when they can take some visits, whatever that may be. So I just think that you get one response to the other. One guy say, hey, I'm just going to go with what's familiar, comfortable, and commit, or I'm going to just hold my decision off and wait till I can go see certain places. And you just kind of have to communicate with the recruits and their families and see what they choose to do.
Tom Brew.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm good. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Hey, well, one of the questions I had for you, a lot of your senior guys and such who have apartments in Bloomington and can technically call Bloomington home. If some of them wanted to come back, could they? And if they did, how much could you see them in person?
Well, they can. We've not encouraged that. Our whole philosophy from the beginning has been, where do you need to be where you're the safest, the highest chance to be healthy, where your parents are comfortable with you being? That's where we want you to be, whether that's home or whatever. We do have some that have chosen to stay in their apartments in Bloomington. We have zero contact with them face to face. It's still, they could be in an apartment in Bloomington or in their apartment or home in Florida or California or Texas, and they'll be in the Zoom meeting. So we basically, they're still, whatever workout they do is whatever they can do wherever they live. There's no gyms open in most states now, so that's pretty consistent. So those that have chosen to stay in Bloomington, which is a handful of guys, or those that leave, they're really dealt with the same way. Now, one thing that it does help is some guys have a chance to have, maybe they could have resource to the internet and the social media access and outlets that allows them to be able to communicate with their teachers and their professors and our academic staff. That's a big priority. So that may force them to want to come back here, because that happens easier in this setting, but not because it's face-to-face. There's really no face-to-face going on with any of our players.
Olivia.
All right, I got a couple for you. First, you were talking about being creative with recruits right now via Zoom and everything. And I know there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with your graphics, with your video department. What does their workload look like right now? And are they doing anything different right now to try and reach some recruits from afar?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, their role is very important, and it's probably been intensified in some ways because that's the means of communication for recruits, is to be able to what we can send to them, the ability to create videos for recruiting. The virtual tours have become a very big component here, and the rules have had to kind of be adapted to the situation and modified accordingly throughout the last few weeks, but kind of settled in on a certain way of what we can do things. And so, yeah, utilizing those guys in a big way to be able to somehow simulate what does the campus feel like from far away. What's it feel like to, be in Bloomington, as a city, and also just, trying to show them just the simple things of our facility. So yeah, their role has been, expanded in some ways in that area. It's part of it, and just the fact that we don't even know if there'll be even any on-campus visits here between now and the start of the season, whenever that may be, has allowed that component to be more important than ever, and having great people in those spots has been huge, and ours have done a great job, and Lee Wilbanks, which is in charge of recruiting, and Dwight Wilson, those two guys handle that role and coordinate all the different things that we do for our recruits, whether it's, the things that we create for them from a graphics perspective, or literally the on-campus simulations that we're trying to create. Because this is obviously the time of year where we'd have a lot of unofficial visits, even official visits at times as we get into the months that are allowed to have those, and those are not taking place. So you gotta, how do you simulate, just like we do, we have, normal, instead of a face-to-face position meeting, we're having a Zoom meeting. Well, now, just like this right here, instead of doing this face-to-face, so those tours face-to-face, they're now becoming virtual, and so their role in doing that is very important.
Awesome. My next one is about your defense. Looking ahead to when football is being played, this class you have returning, coming back, the weapons you have coming back is probably the best Indiana has seen in a long time. How excited you are for that, because I saw you work your magic your first year here, and what you believe in your defense this year.
Well, I share in your excitement. I am very much looking forward to this season. Defensively, we were very young 2 years ago. We were still young last year, and it showed up at key times, hurt us at times. And we have to continue to grow through those mistakes that we made. But I know we will. And that's why the spring was off to a really, really good start. I loved the way we were practicing. I love the communication on defense. I love the energy on defense. I love the confidence, the intensity of those guys, because they're all another year older. They've all played so much football. We have a lot of production coming back on defense, and especially in the linebacker room, which really drives your whole defense, and how those kids play and how they communicate and how they, just infect the whole side of the ball because of their confidence. And the secondary and the defensive line has got a lot of youth. And so, yeah, I just, I think that that's a group I have high expectations for. We all know my involvement on defense and what it's been in the past, and what it will be, continue to be in the future. So Coach Womack's done a tremendous job with that group. And they've even used this time, and I sit on different meetings and different groups, and to be able to continue to grow and install the defense throughout this spring is a priority. And we just got to keep those guys hungry, keep them sharp. And I do feel like with the fact that we will have limited reps, no matter what happens moving forward, we're definitely going to have less reps than we would have with spring ball being cut short. So having those guys back is a huge plus for sure, but they got to stay sharp, keep working hard, and maximize the time that we've been given right now.
Jeff Rabjohns.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Jeff. How we doing?
Good. Hey, so the players who are at home, kind of what are they doing to stay in shape? And how does that work? What plans can you give them as far as, okay, here's your workouts for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? Kind of how does that part of that work?
Well, they're definitely given a workout plan from Aaron Wellman, our head strength coach, and his staff. And so sometimes those plans may involve just some videos to show them how to do certain activities. There's no live interaction whatsoever. That's not allowable. We're not allowed to monitor their workouts via FaceTime or Zoom, nor are we allowed to have them report back to say, hey, I did this much, this weight, or this reps, or this speed, or whatever in running. But they can be given a plan, which is everybody's doing that. So it's trusting them to be able to execute what they're given, and go find a place to run, go find a place to. It may be just push-ups and sit-ups. We went through, every single player was able to give feedback to our strength staff and say, okay, this is what I have access to at my house, or I have this many dumbbells, or I have this barbell, or I have this weight or that weight, or I have bands, or I have, a medicine ball, or whatever I may have in my house. And then Aaron Wellman and his staff had to go through and create an individualized workout plan for each guy. And now the one thing that helps us is, Coach Wellman coming from the Giants, the NFL has, a 4-month period where they are not with their players in their off season, and due to their certain agreements and the rules that they have in the NFL, they can't be at their facility. So he's kind of used to doing this, obviously not in this primitive way where you don't have as many weights to work with, but our guys can have just a total body workout, which means it's totally based on no weights at all. I'm doing just certain type of resistance things creatively, and then a running workout. The running workout is probably the most critical part, and that's just something they have to do on their own, and so we can't monitor that. We don't monitor that. It's a lot of trust. It's built-in accountability. It's built-in, the culture you have, the LDO culture for me, which is so powerful right now more than ever, because I feel accountable to my teammates. I know they love me. I love them. They're counting on me. I'm counting on them. And that to me is what this is all about. And so the workouts fall right into that. And that's where our guys have to take ownership of it, take accountability, personal responsibility for their preparation. And we haven't made a super emphasis on the workout parts of it. It's definitely a priority to stay with it. Player safety has been number one right now, and their mental wellness and their physical wellness is the key. But I think as this progresses, and if we continue to be away, I think those workouts will intensify in terms of what we expect them to do on their own. But it's kind of back to what we did when I was in school, when I was playing college football. And, I didn't train at the college that I went to. Everything was done at home, and ran on my own most of the time, and followed the script of what I was given to do physically. So we do it like in 2-week increments. So they get a 2-week plan that we submit to them and give to them that they have access to, and show them what to do. And then they have to be responsible and accountable to follow through. And so that's just part of, creating a culture where guys want to work hard for the guys around them.
Thanks, Coach.
Jeff, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Did you
I said Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't hear you either, Jeff. Coach, I'm curious if you've found anything that you, through all of this, that you've liked and that you're going to try and incorporate after trying to think about different ways to do things.
I have, and I think that's part of growth. We've had staff challenges, and even a couple of our guys have brought up in the past where, certain things have, due to, certain challenges in our country's past, have forced people to reevaluate what they do, and it's created some very innovative things to do moving forward. So I think for me, the Zoom concept has a lot of merit in terms of maximizing our time and our schedules. I've talked about with our staff, and we'll continue to talk about ways moving forward in the future where we can maybe utilize a Zoom call with our staff to simulate a staff meeting and not have to all be in the office working at a certain time of the year. I think that has merit. It's just about, I think, time management has been something that I've really take a step back and evaluate, because to me, we're always trying to find more efficient ways to operate. And I think there's some things that we've learned through even dealing with our players and dealing with our coaching staff that maybe we can utilize in the future. And I think the biggest thing of that, it would be how we meet and the time that we use, and how we can, utilize those, the technology to the fullest, I guess would be the best way to say that. So our coaches can be extremely effective in their jobs and in what they have to do, but also continue to be the husbands and fathers that I know I want us to be in this program, that creates the balance that I think allows individuals to be at their very, very best.
Kevin Brockway.
Hey, Coach.
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay. Two young coordinators, Kane Womack and Nick Sheridan. How do you see them handling this situation, and in what ways maybe are you trying to help them along the way too?
Well, I think first of all, they definitely young in age, but not in their ability to communicate. And I think even when you think about technology, I mean, you get young guys that are used to utilizing technology to the fullest. I think those two guys are really sharp with that on our staff. I think that's helped them during this time to be able to communicate with both their players and our staff. We've been having, we've not had any staff meetings where we've been together. We've got coaches in even different states because of where their home currently is, because they haven't not moved here yet. So that's helped our guys. And so I think having two young guys that are extremely bright and able to maximize technology has really allowed us to flourish during this time. And as our staff has been able to continue to prepare, evaluate our players, install the spring installation schedule, and then also evaluate future opponents and getting a jump start on our week 1, week 2, and week 3 opponents for the season. So I think both those guys have done a great job of communicating with their sides of the football and also in recruiting, because I give them the charge that, man, they are to take ownership of each side of the ball that they're over in recruiting and all the top recruits, and making sure that we're getting those guys communicated with, and that they're hearing from the coordinator, the position coach, the area coach, the entire staff on that side of the ball in the whatever way we can maximize at all possible. And so I just feel like those guys are both maximizing technology and maximizing the time here to help us grow and develop during this challenging time.
Aaron Mattis.
Hey, Coach, you got me?
I got you, Aaron.
Okay, two things. First of all, just is there any update on Peyton Hendershot situation?
Yes, he on a modified standpoint, he's been for the rest of the spring here, once we got into this mode, has been involved with some position meetings and team meetings. So we've brought him back in a modified way back to our team. And so he's been, being involved with that. And so we continue to monitor the situation as he works through some things that we don't have any control over. But he is at this point being brought back in a modified way with the team, and being able to be a part of helping him get his rehab in and getting his body right and moving forward. So definitely progress, but we'll continue to work through the processes with that and with the school.
And then just wanted to ask, there's so many opinions out there. Everybody's hearing different things about the college football season. And I just wondered, what are you preparing for? What's your opinion on fans in the stands and a September kickoff?
Well, first of all, I think that, number one, we continue to have lots of meetings about these topics. We will continue to have more this week and every single week. And we seem to have more information every week passes. The health and safety of our players is the number one priority, period. And that's going to drive our decisions. And we're going to listen to the medical experts and the government officials and the leadership of our universities. And those people will make these decisions. And when they tell us it's safe to come back, then we'll come back. And, we're trying to plan. But I told our staff today, it's kind of like planning in the sand, because you can draw things up and you can have all this stuff planned out, but no one really knows. There's a lot of question marks that are still out there, a lot of questions, but not a lot of answers for a lot of things. Looking at all options, all the meetings I sit in on, they're trying to find creative ways to be able to do this in a way that's safe for everybody. And I think that the schools came out and said pretty clearly recently, just about trying to do whatever we can do to have a season however that may look, whether it's delayed, modified, pushed back, I don't know. I know we'll all want to have a season, but we all want to do it in a way that's safe for everybody involved. So to me, I'm just going to take the approach that people that get paid to make these decisions and evaluate from a health perspective, we're going to trust them, and we're going to trust the leadership of our state and our federal government and the NCAA and our Big Ten conference. And as a group, we'll come together and make the best decision possible. And then once they tell us when and where we can come back and what we need to do, we'll have a great plan. So I feel like that we got a flexible response right now that's ready to take advantage of whatever we're told to do.
All right, Taylor Lehman.
Hey, Coach. I was kind of curious with the early enrollees, what kind of conversations are you having with those guys after, I'm sure they're expecting to get a full spring camp in. How are you kind of managing some of the frustration, disappointment, and making sure they're still getting the development as well?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I think, probably they would have to say they were disappointed, because they came here with the intent of getting a full spring in. But that did not happen. But I will say they would also agree that they did get more than they would have had before. They got a chance to have a 8-week cycle of lifting with our strength staff that they would not have had before. They got 4 full practices in with our team that they would not have had before. So definitely still an advantageous situation for them compared to those who did not. Were not able to enroll early. So I still feel like they would say it was a positive thing, but just we're hoping that it would be a longer, tenure to be able to have take advantage of. So, but they're just now kind of, I think thrust into this whole same period of unknown future that we all have. And so I think that they would say, a lot of positives, not as many as they had hoped, but can't control it. Don't dwell on it. Not going to blink.
Dave Griffiths, do you have anything?
Yeah, sure, Jeff. I can get one for you. Hey, Coach. You guys have had at Indiana at least one player taken in 6 straight NFL drafts. Number one, I'm sure that you've got to be proud of the program for being able to get that kind of consistency. And 2, how do you keep it going? And what do you have to do as a program to keep the streak going and get more players in the NFL at the next level?
Well, definitely something that we're proud of. It definitely involves way more people than myself, previous coaches and previous staffs and a lot of hard work by a lot of people going into that result. This year will definitely create some challenges. I know last year, Wes Martin was one who directly benefited from our pro day, was not invited to the combine, but had a great pro day and showed everybody what he was able to do. But I do know that film is really the ultimate evaluation for guys. But I do think that's this year is going to create, we have a lot of guys that have made it through kind of proven to people as they've been able to come to campus and meet with them and do these extra workouts that I think would help their stock go up. But those guys are just like everybody else in this country, caught in a tough situation that's definitely affected their future. And they're just going to have to display tremendous grit, which is perseverance and passion towards their long-term goals. And so I have full confidence we got several guys in this class that are going to get opportunities to go play in the NFL, whether they get drafted or be taken as a free agent. You just want, as I told them, man, you just need one team to believe in you, one team to give you a chance. And when they do, you show you belong. And so that's what I feel confident. We'll have some guys have the opportunity. I'd love to be able to get another young man drafted moving forward. But it's an exciting time still, even though it's a different format than we've had in the past and with many things that were cut short, in the process of the draft. So, but yeah, we've got the way you keep it moving forward is you do a great job recruiting and a great job developing. And that's where I feel like we have to be the best evaluators in the country here at Indiana to project players to come to IU and play for us. And then once we get them here, we have to do a better job than anybody in the country of developing them physically, mentally, and spiritually. So that's just that's the formula we want to use, and we got to make sure we continue that, and I believe that we will.
Matt Cohn.
Hey, Tom. I wanted to follow up on a Aaron's question from earlier is how seriously have you considered a possibility where there is a like a pushed back or no season at all in the fall? And I guess do you have any kind of realistic plans that you've begun for that, or are you still planning to have a season as it is scheduled right now?
Oh, when I talk about, looking at all possible options, I can't sit here and tell you I've had, one of those plans is no football, so that's not, I have no say so in any of that. That's not my decision, but, it would be hard to accept that. That'd be a tough situation for everybody and for a lot of reasons, so no, to me, it's like anything else, so you have to be flexible. You have to adapt. You have to plan. I'm more focused on that which I can control, which, like I told our staff even again today, it's like, okay, this is what I do know. We're going to work off those facts. And yes, there's things that we're going to plan, and we're going to put those plans in pencil because they may have to be adjusted in the near future or in the next coming months. But we're going to plan that we are going to be playing. And don't know when, where, or how that will look. But in my mind, I just believe that there's a lot of time. We're sitting here, it's April. April 22nd. So there's a lot of time between now and when these final decisions have to be made. So, I'm an optimistic guy. I believe in the people that are working hard on this all across the country and across the world to help us figure it out. But there are more important things at stake here than playing a football game, and that's the health and safety of our guys and players across the country and students across the country and everything else. So, that's obviously that's at the forefront, and that will always be at the forefront for me and this program. And I want to make sure that that is the priority. And then from there, we're going to adjust and adapt and make the best of what we're given.
All right, Ken Bykoff, and then we'll wrap up with Peegs.
Coach, just from a personal standpoint, I know that you're focused on football and making sure everybody is as in good a shape there as they can be. What do you do personally with the time that you have that you haven't had in a long time? This is everybody has to find a way to pass the time. Just what kind of things are you doing personally that maybe you otherwise wouldn't be?
Oh, I would say my schedule is very similar. It's just done from home. I feel like that I've actually expanded my time with recruits because of the schedule we're able to have and them being more available. But the part that has been different is the fact, and I think very positive, is just the time with my own family. I would say more throughout the day, just because we're interacting, even though I'm in and out of meetings and doing things, with Zoom or on the phone, I'm still able to physically see them when I usually don't this time of year. And so, but at night, I would say the evenings, more time with my wife to be able for us to do some things together. We've done listen to an audio book together, which has been very, very important, I think, for us to be able to grow and in our relationship. I think that part's been a definite perk, to this situation. And I just think just time in general around your family, and that's where we have such a crazy schedule that we often keep. Even in the springtime, people always ask, hey, what do you do in the off season? I said, well, it really isn't off, and I usually would spend a lot of time traveling, speaking, and not at home like you maybe want to be when you're not in season. So that part's been good. And, even my wife being able to go over some walks later in the evening has been something that I don't usually get to do. Now, one thing that may not be positive, but I've been put to work at the house a little bit and some honey-do list things that I usually am not here to do. I was caught on a ladder a few days ago, and that's a pretty rare sight. We've, in the past, we do have a family joke because in one of our moves, I was trying to put some things together from an electrical perspective and blew up our dryer and washer because I hooked them up the wrong way. And so I kind of got banned from those husband jobs around the house and tried to hire somebody that maybe knew what they were doing. So, but I have done some more of those, and that's been different for sure. But we laugh as a family, but it has been time together, which you can't ever get that back. So I really want to make sure we take advantage of that and do a great job of taking care of our responsibilities as a coach and leader of this program, but also making sure that time with my family is something that I think we've definitely had more of here in the evenings, and I'm going to take advantage of it.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Peegs, before your question, I just want to tell everybody we'll have a transcription up on iuhoosiers.com this afternoon. Our office will put that together. And then we hope to have a recording of this video going out this afternoon as well. Thanks for joining us, Peegs. Last one.
Hello, Tom.
How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. I'm trying to get through my honey-do list as well. The addition of Vance Swan, can you expand on your comments? Because that seems like a pretty big deal for your defense and maybe from a team leadership perspective.
It really is. You know, it kind of got lost in the shuffle of all that's going on in our country, and but just such a huge addition to our team. And as you mentioned, for a variety of reasons. Number one, a tremendous high character young man with strong leadership skills. He's going to bring, you know, a graduate from Stanford University that is from Center Grove High School, just 30 minutes up the road here, and a young man that will do a great job helping our defense. I mean, he's a really good football player, and he's going to come in right away, and he's an immediate guy to help and play, and that's the expectation for him and for us. But I'm probably more excited about his leadership. You know, he just brings. We got a very young room with a lot of talent in that room, but a lot of young talent that needs, you know, guys to step in there, and he'll have the courage and confidence to verbally, you know, lead that room, you know, and I just think that that's something that he will bring to us, and this production, you know, you can never have enough good defensive linemen in this league, and he's a grown man. I mean, he's a mature body type for sure, obviously being a senior and coming in here ready to play. So that's something that I'm excited about. We really worked hard to recruit him once he made the decision he was going to be a grad transfer from Stanford, and getting the Indiana kid to come home and finish out here close to family is pretty awesome. So really, really excited about Vance Swan and his addition to our football program.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you being here with us. Have an awesome day, and LEO.